Chris, I couldn't get in. I don't know if anybody else is having a problem.
Yeah, Hillary is being the host tonight. My work computer, I'm having troubles hooking up into this Zoom from home with being a host. So I'm gonna call Dan tomorrow, our IT guy.
Okay. Hillary, can you see who's here? How many
Yeah.
people are here?
I can see Barbara, I see Leon, I see you, I see Michael Fisher's the 440, right?
Yes, that's me.
Yep, that's Michael. Then we have a couple of folks from the public and Denny O'Connell. So we're still waiting on a few.
All
Hey,
right.
Denny. Hello.
Why don't we start the business meeting? And I've been informed via the orders of the governor that I have to announce the members of the commission who are present. So let me do the intro and then announce, because maybe we'll have everybody by then.
John Portnoy's here.
This is the Town of Wellfleet Conservation Commission business meeting, which is held pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, as amended by Chapter 28 of the laws of, of the Acts of 2009, the Wetlands Protections Act, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw and its regulations. Public hearings will begin at 5. Both the business meeting and the public hearings are held remotely pursuant to Governor Baker's orders issued on March 12, 2020 and thereafter. The full names of the commission members who are present are Leon Shreve, Michael Fisher, Barbara Brennicell, Deborah Freeman. I'm sorry, I can't see if any of the other commissioners are.
John Portnoy was
John
here.
Portnoy.
He was here.
Yeah.
I don't see Ben Fairbanks or John Kumbler. So why don't we start, Hillary, with the conservation agents report. And as part of that report, if you could please just make sure you detail the additional meetings that we have.
Sure. So we will be having an executive session meeting on Friday at 11 o'clock to discuss a matter relative to pending litigation that has been posted, and all of the members have said that they could attend that. So we have another meeting on 11/18, which is our regularly scheduled Conservation Commission business meeting, and then hearings after. As far as a report, we sent a letter to 239 Holbrook. That's where there was some tree work done by Shannon Tree. And we were reached back by Maureen Dalby, who's the owner of the property. And she said that there was a willow tree on her property and it blew half over and was nearing the house. And so it was an emergency and needed to be removed immediately. And that is all the work that was done there. So that seemed reasonable. She knows if anything like that happens in the future that she does need to reach out to us. In addition to that, I have a number of jurisdictional opinions. I don't know if we want to tackle those at this point or.
Yeah, Hillary, the other place you were going to get in contact with was 66
Hiawatha. Yes, we wrote them a letter as well and are waiting to hear back.
Okay, so still no.
That's the one with the landscaping stairs, and yes, we were out there twice and have reached out to them. We also in that neighborhood pulled the boat rack, or as much of the boat rack as we could, from the landing there because it was washing away. Most of the boats, if not all, are gone, and the boat rack is practically all gone there as well.
Okay, thank you. So I guess there are 4 of us, so we can start on the jurisdictional opinions.
John Kumbler, Conservation Commissioner, just joined us as well.
Great.
Okay, so I think we should start with Butt Tree Way first, because that is one we heard at our last meeting that was coming back to this one. And as I understand it, you all were able to get out there today. And so they would like to, this is for 210 Buttrey Way, map 16, parcel 628. Jeremy Young is submitting this, and he would like to remove 2 of the trees that were tagged with orange ribbon. They were deceased maple trees located at the front of the property. And then he would like to prune 2 trees tagged with pink ribbon. Those are maple trees also located at the front of the property. And then prune an additional 2 pine trees at the rear of the property. Those were tagged with pink ribbon as well. And then prune 1 mimosa tree that was also tagged with pink ribbon at the rear of the property.
Hillary, when we were out there, this property has come before us before. There is a dock on the pond, and I believe it was an order that the dock not be placed on the grass, that the dock be moved to the driveway. It was conditioned. The dock is sitting on the grass, so that they should be notified that there's a violation and subject to the $200 a day fine if it's not removed immediately. The other thing was we discussed when we saw this property before, the boats on the grass, and they said they would put the boats on a rack. The boats are lying out on the grass. So I would propose assessing an additional fine for each boat of $200 a day so that those boats get removed and placed in the appropriate location. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about that. I would ask for their comments.
If we've warned them, then that's appropriate.
We did. It was the last work had those as orders of condition.
Barbara, you're on mute.
You're muted, Barbara.
I don't remember anything about the dock, though. This
I'm gonna
looks
go
like,
grab the file, the original file.
it
Hold
looks
on
like,
1
it
second.
looks like a new dock that was just built, and I don't know, they don't have a Chapter 91 permit or anything, so that should just be out of there.
I think we'll find that there was some way that they could have a dock. That's my memory, and I may be totally wrong. But when we discussed the dock, I don't know if you remember it, but we discussed how they would remove it. And Tom Dickey told us it was a tight space and they would turn the dock on its side and walk with it and take it out to the driveway.
I don't remember all the details. I do not remember we had an issue with that and the boats and the kayaks.
Yes, that's my memory as well, that we told them to take the boat out. They were going to get permission, I think, from the harbor master for a seasonal boat permit.
Correct.
Sorry, dock permit.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Michael, do you remember that the dock was supposed to be removed to the driveway?
Yes.
Yes.
In the order of condition, it says removal of float shall not disturb existing vegetation. So they were supposed to remove it.
And then Hillary, the order also spoke about the boats not being on the grass.
Yeah, that says canoes and kayaks shall use the approved path only, because there were 2 paths. And this file seems like somebody has been through it, because it doesn't have the full notice of intent in it. But I bet if we pull up the meeting minutes, we had a very detailed discussion on it. So Chris, I don't know if you can pull those meeting minutes if I tell you the date of the hearing.
Yep, hang on, I'm just gonna save what I've got.
If it's 235 Buttrey Way,
Yes,
well, then I've got,
210.
sorry?
210.
210 Buttrey Way. And the hearing,
October 16th, 2019.
Sorry, what was the date?
October 16th, 2019.
Okay, people from the audience cannot speak without being recognized by the chair. Thank you for your comments, but you cannot speak until you are recognized.
so I have the date the notice of intent was filed was 9/25. The date the public hearing closed was November 6th of 2019. So I think we would start at the November 6th of
You
2019.
want November 6th, okay, hang on.
Yeah,
11.
Michael, do you have a date for us or the
I-
minutes?
I-
well,
what-
on August 5th, we gave them a certificate of compliance.
Well, yeah, okay.
John, I just let you in. Sorry, I was grabbing a file. Okay, bye.
Okay, 11:06, I got it. Hang on, let me find them.
Yeah, I've also got for, where's the date? Yeah, November 6th. It's that repairs for existing residents replaced. Tim Dickey provided a revised site plan. Current path identifies paths for moving the kayaks, canoes, and seasonal float. Wooden rack will be placed in the driveway for kayaks. Owners contacted the harbor master for approval of a float. 96 square feet of mitigation planted was noted in the plan. Dickey stated transport by hand could be used to move the float without doing any damage to the resources.
So Hillary, what do we do?
Well, we can ask them for compliance before we approve any more work on the property.
I think that's appropriate.
I will send them a letter this week.
Do any other commissioners have an opposite opinion?
I think that's
No, that's appropriate.
appropriate.
I'm sorry I was late and I missed that discussion. Were you talking about the raft or about the kayaks?
Oh,
Both, John. John Portnoy has joined us. We were talking about the fact that the order of conditions required that the seasonal float be removed from the property, not left on the vegetation, but removed to the driveway, and that the kayaks and
hand.
canoe were also to be removed using the path.
Okay,
And placed in the driveway. And this today, when we visited, those were all out on the grass.
okay. Thank you.
Do you have any problem with requiring compliance before we hear anything about the tree trimming?
No, I don't.
Okay. So Hillary, I think we're clear on that.
yeah, clear as can be.
Wait a minute, I have a question.
John Kumpler?
Yes. We gave them order of conditions. They didn't abide by them. And now we're saying, well, we're not going to look at future things until you do what you were supposed to do before. But they were told before what they were supposed to do and they didn't do it. Is there no remedy for that?
There is a remedy for that. We can apply a fine. Hillary, correct me if I'm wrong. The fine is $200 a day
For
for
violation.
non-compliance.
Correct.
So when does that?
Now,
kick in?
I'm
We
sorry,
did
John.
give them a certificate of compliance, however.
No, that was for something else, I believe.
I don't believe so. Tim Dickey represented the applicant and said that everything is in compliance. David LaDroy said it's in compliance.
That was for
John
the,
Portnoy, the supervisor, stated the work was done in compliance.
that
and we
was the
voted
work
for-
on the deck, Michael.
Okay,
That's what I believe.
But I
that
understand
was-
That's right.
if we have
that
order,
was August 5th.
the order of conditions are always in play. They don't, after the compliance, that doesn't end the order of conditions. If they are violating the order of conditions after they get their compliance, it's irrelevant. They're violating the order of conditions, stay active as long as the property's under, I mean, forever, as far as I know.
So let's just write them the letter and wait to hear back from them. I don't know. Once you close the case, if you don't continue the conditions in perpetuity, they're not still valid. You can put conditions on a property at any time, but I think we should send them the standard enforcement letter that folks get and wait to have follow-up before we move ahead with any additional work on the property.
Okay.
And when we hear from them, we can have them come in if you so desire, and you can contemplate issuance of a fine at that time.
I think that's good.
Okay,
I have a question.
Yes, Jeremy.
I just want to document, I didn't have any involvement in this and I had no idea. I'm just filing a jurisdictional opinion. They've been clients of mine for a while and I know Tim Dickey did file that notice of intent. Thank you.
Thank you. We did not see you at the prior proceedings. I'll grant you that.
Thank you.
okay. The next jurisdictional opinion is from Jeremy Young as well. And this is for 266 King Philip Road, map 34, parcel 8. Property owner Phyllis Goldman. And they would like to remove one tree. It's a dead pine tree at the rear of the property. It was tagged with orange ribbon and it is infested with the turpentine beetle. And it is sitting on the crest of the bank. And then they would like to selectively prune 5 pine trees at the rear of the property to improve the view. And
Okay. So how much of that is in our jurisdiction, Hillary?
all of it.
All of it, okay.
How much of it is within the 50-foot?
I believe all of it is within the 50 feet because the 50 feet comes practically right up to the edge of the dwelling. This is the circular house.
Mhm.
Okay, I have not seen the trees proposed for thinning. We did not visit this one. I would feel personally more comfortable going to see it before we agreed to anything. I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
I agree.
Yes, can I add as well that on November 15th, 2017, Goldman, that's the
Yeah.
owner, applied to remove 13 dead Japanese black pines, removed 8 living Japanese pines, 2 autumn olives, replaced with 3-gallon native shrubs. So they've done quite a lot of work already on this. They want to plant beach grass on the coastal bank. So I think a site visit would be useful.
And I would offer to you that the commission has taken pruning projects as RDAs, not as jurisdictional opinions, because the jurisdictional opinion is for minor work that is posing a hazard to a dwelling or an exact one-to-one replacement. So I just wonder if we start taking vista pruning projects as jurisdictional opinions, if we're losing some way to view these and make sure that all of the commissioners are on board for them.
I
mean,
agree. Good point, Hillary.
Hillary, I agree. I think this should come back to us as an RDA rather than a jurisdictional opinion. I don't know, other than Barbara, I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
Yes, it was an RDA before when they wanted to prune.
They have one dead tree that they're concerned about in terms of the house, correct?
one tree, it's at the crest of the bank and it's infested with the turpentine beetle.
Is it a threat to the house?
Jeremy, perhaps you can speak to that. I'm not.
No, the tree is not a threat to the dwelling, and the height of the dead pine is 8 feet. It's a scrub pine infested with turpentine beetle. The other 5 pines are 8 to 12 feet. Very minimal selective pruning. It's probably like a 2-hour job.
Yeah, I think this can come back to us.
Okay, Hillary, if you would take care of that and have it come back to us as an RDA, that seems to be the view of all the commissioners.
Okay. Very well then. And how many of you, do we have 7 of you? No, we have 6. Okay, next up, we have for Sarah Wexler at 101. Before we move on though, I did see one hand raised. I don't know if the gallery teaching and collections wanted to speak on that last jurisdictional opinion. Debbie, her hand was up in person, not on the screen. So,
Okay, I'm sorry, I cannot see the person. If the person would like to speak.
Need to,
Unmute yourself.
This was my property that was just under discussion, and I wanted to say that the one infested pine tree is bordering on a stairway, and it's creating a hazard for the stairway, not for the house, but I thought that should be noted.
Okay. I think you can have your RDA heard at the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks.
no, the soonest we
No.
can get them on is December 2nd.
Okay, so it's less than a month.
Okay, so the next jurisdictional opinion is for Sarah Wexler at 101 Samoset Ave. This is coming in from Jeremy Young as well, and he would like to replace the pre-existing slate walkway located at the right side of the property using flagstone set in mason sand with 6 inches of spacing for drainage. And so we were out there, and there is some type of slate stepping stones in a sort of irregular pattern that runs around the side of the property. So if we could hear from Jeremy on if this is an exact replacement or not, or what he is intending to do.
The walkway would be exact placement. The current slate stepping stones are 12 by 24 inches, and they want to replace them with something on the order of 24 to 30 inches, more of a footprint per stepping stone with 6-inch spacing in between. Any disturbed area, I would replant with Harmony Blend grass seed.
Jeremy, is this in the same exact area?
Yes, it is.
And does it cover more area or the same?
Exactly the same.
Okay. Are there any other questions about this, Jo?
I guess, I just want to be clear, the size of the steps now is not, it's not increasing from what's there now?
Correct. The width is staying the same. The length of each stone is tripling. So there'll be roughly 8 to 10 flagstones versus 25 pieces of slate. If that makes sense. Their goal is to have a longer, nothing wider, but a longer area for footprint. Right now, they're only 12 inches. So each stepping stone would be larger, not width-wise, just length.
But there would be fewer of them.
There'll be 8 to 10 versus 25 that are there.
This sounds like a fairly straightforward RDA to me.
Yeah, I would go with that. As long as the area of coverage with hardscape is not increased.
That's what Mr. Young has said.
sounds reasonable to me.
Can I just request that we get a sketch submitted so we know what exactly we're approving? So Jeremy, if you could get us a sketch on the site plan that we have on file, just to show exactly what you're doing.
Yes, I can do that, Hillary.
Thank you. I don't see any hands in the audience. If you'd like to go ahead and take a vote on this.
I need a motion to approve the project at 101 Samoset to replace the paving stones in exactly the same footprint. This is a JO.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Leon, second.
Leon, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brennisell,
Yes.
Michael Fisher,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. I don't see Ben Fairbank as present.
No, he's not present yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a jurisdictional opinion for Walter Harrison at 130 Blue Heron Road. And he would like to prune the branches that are close to his house from 5 oaks. The limbs are overhanging the house. We were out there today. And prune one pine tree with the top that is broken off. So we were out there and this one does seem reasonable.
Do the commissioners have any comments?
Seems straightforward.
The only,
Michael?
should I speak? Yeah,
Yes.
so the only thing that comes up in May 2015, the same applicant added a 3-foot high timber retaining wall, but it was a JO past 5-0.
Hillary, you and Doug have reviewed this and this
Yes.
is
Yep,
clear?
this is fine. Yep.
Okay, then I need a motion to approve the JO at 130 Blue Heron Road to top and prune trees.
So moved, Michael.
Is there a second?
Second, John Kumbler.
I need a voice vote. John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara? I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
You're muted, Barbara.
Abstain because I was knocked out of the meeting for the last couple of minutes, so I didn't hear this part, so I can't vote.
Okay, Leon? I'm sorry, you're on mute also.
Yes.
Michael Fisher
Yes.
and Debbie, yes.
Okay, and then we have one final jurisdictional opinion for Scott Rockman at 36 Old Pier Road. And Dennis Townsend, I'm assuming you're here for that one. I could be wrong.
No, I'm here for Ruth.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Never mind then. So the Rockmans would like to reduce the crown height of 8 black locusts located at the parking area to reduce the risk of branch leader failure. The height is to be reduced by 10 to 12 feet. And so we were out there today, and again, because of the number of trees, that is not a project we would generally approve on a jurisdictional opinion. So unless the commission is so inclined to move that, I would recommend we get a request for determination for that project as well.
Yes, and a site visit, I agree.
Right, I would
Barbara.
like a site visit and an RDA.
What does all that mean?
So it's just a slightly larger form that's required, and it does get noticed in the paper. Just because for a jurisdictional opinion, we use that mainly to just eliminate trees that are hanging over the house or to prune branches, or again, for an exact one-to-one replacement of something. And this is topping, I'm assuming you want to just chop the tops off of the black locust trees at the parking area.
Correct.
And so that's more than just limbing a tree or, saving your dwelling. So we want to get all the commissioners out on site so that they can see what the project is before they approve it. And with the jurisdictional opinion, the commissioners don't get out on site, only the agent does. So just because the number of trees and the amount of work you're doing surpasses the jurisdictional opinion form.
Okay, so I need to get a different form from my tree person? Or do I-
Your tree person can do it, or we can send you what you need.
Okay, and when would
Choice
the,
is yours.
what's the time frame of all of this?
So if we have the paperwork in by November 11th, you would be on a December 2nd hearing.
Okay. And is there another fee to pay?
Is there a fee to pay?
No, is there another $15 fee?
It's $30, but yes.
And so this first $15 fee is applied to that or no?
Well, we've never been asked that because we did go out and have a look at it, so.
That's fine. I mean, the form that I submitted was not my idea to submit that form. I was told that was the form that needed to be, I mean, I was told that this was where I needed to be. So.
Yeah, what happens sometimes is people take a look at your project and they are of one opinion. And then the commission takes a look at it and says, no, it's more complicated than someone led you to believe. And that's what happened to you.
Fine. Okay. So how do I get this paperwork?
So you can have your tree company file it on your behalf, or you can send me an email and I'm happy to send you what you need.
Fine. Okay. Thank you so much. And is this likely to be approved? Or am I?
Well, I think we have to go out and have a look at it and see where the trees are, how close they are to the resource area, what they look like, and, walk through the project once we actually all see it on the ground.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Hillary, my
That's
list,
all the jurisdictional opinions I have for this evening.
okay, my list indicates that the CPC needs list is next. I note that we have Wellfleet Conservation Trust, Dennis O'Connell in the audience. I don't know, he's not on my list, but I would be willing to take him out of order. You tell me what you think is appropriate.
I guess I'm assuming Denny wants to hear the small vessel report, and that's why he's here. We have Don Monroe here also to talk about the projects that the shorefront protection hearings that we haven't been able to handle. So I
Okay.
can pull up the CPC requests if we want to do that first, or if we are ready to jump into the shorefront protection discussion. The choice is yours.
Why don't we do the shorefront protection program discussion?
So I think that we have two projects. Don, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're both customers of yours who had filed applications for shorefront protection. And several months ago, we determined that those projects were too complicated and we weren't going to hear them. Time is ticking on. We have since tried to see if we could meet together in a room, and that doesn't seem possible for us to meet together. We have just this morning picked back up on site visits, which I think went quite well from what I heard. So I think because we have these two applications hanging here and we have, no path forward as to when we're going to meet in person, I'm wondering if we might want to give that a second look and see if there maybe is a way for us to hear them and determine whether or not it is far too complicated, or if we may be able to walk through them in some way, maybe with Dawn sharing the screen, or, meeting us on site, which is, a posted meeting, so we can hear from him. We can't make decisions out there, but we can at least hear from him. So I put that out there to the commission, and maybe Dawn can advocate for his clients, and we can debate the matter.
I'll speak up right now if that's okay. I'm only just trying to give the clients a sense of what their future may be as far as the two bulkheads that are next to Quinobaquin's bulkheads that we approved a year ago. And it seems like they would like to, as a cooperative effort, do all of the work at the same time. So the bulkheads are still relatively okay, but they do show signs of deterioration, meaning that because they're wooden in nature, borers have got in and compromised some of the structural integrity of all of those bulkheads along there. So more than trying to force the commission to meet or whatever, I think we just wanted to find out, is there any sense or consensus from the rest of the members as to whether or not we could at least try to hear those 2 additional bulkheads that are next to the one that you already basically approved. I won't go into the other 3 that need to be applied for.
John, could you remind us where these are?
Oh, sure. Hillary, can you help me out? Isn't it, it's up past the
Hold on.
the golf course.
Is this, it's not Keller's Corner?
No, off of Chequasit Neck.
Oh, the one is way at the end where we talked about barging and we talked about cranes and
Before that.
Alfred weighed in.
We're
Is it
not talking
1,000
about,
Yeah, but those are the ones where that we filed that are on hold, or Clap and Durban. They're before that one that you're referring to, Hillary.
Okay, 1005 Chequasit Neck Road is the one I'm thinking of.
I don't see any way we can do that one. That one is extremely complicated.
I'm not asking for that one, Deborah, at all. That one is too complicated. These are 2 right past the parking lot that's used by the off of Chequasit Neck on the left, that's used by the golf course.
Okay, so can I stop you for a minute? Because
Yeah.
we have Michelson at 21 Samoset, and we
Right.
have Simone
We-
at 5 and 11 Samoset. Those are the 2 I have that have come in that we
Yeah.
haven't done
We have-
anything with. I think you may be describing 2 more that you didn't even submit to
Right.
us
Right.
because we
These are
said,
new to me, Hillary.
They are. We have not filed them because of the fact that you have said you're not going to hear them. So rather than file them and then go right up to DEP for a decision because you wouldn't be able to act within the 21 days, we want to go through the commission instead. So I haven't filed them yet. So I want to know when we're going to be able to file new ones, because I have 3 in addition to those, which would be a total of 5 new ones. And if the commission can't hear them, I'm not sure what to do about those particular projects that, well, like for one instance, for one that we have to file is the Candell Rock revetment has a failure section on it. And that failure needs to be repaired. So I'm not sure how to handle those ones that may not, quote, be an exact new one, but also we've got those 2 that are existing wooden bulkheads that are next to the one that you approved, which was for the Quinobacoon Trust. And I'd like to be able to file those, but they're existing and they're repairs as opposed to new.
Okay, my feeling is I don't think that any one project is the same as another project. And this is my personal feeling. I don't think that because we have approved one, it means that another one is automatically approved.
Agreed.
I think the problem is that with the structures like this, we need to get out there with the experts. We need to see what is proposed. We need to see the alternatives analysis, essentially from the ground up, because it's such a radical change normally from what is present. Even in a failure situation, when you're talking about changing it and restoring something, I can't very well look at a plot plan and determine exactly what I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
That's just me. I'd love to hear from the other commissioners.
I agree with you, like almost 100%, except if it's a repair of an existing structure, it might be possible for us to do a site visit and look at that, a repair, not a new project, not a change of a project, but a repair of an existing structure. If it's legal and we can do that. That's the only thing I think we could do pretty easily and and socially distant and all that.
I think it depends on what the repair is. I mean, if it's a massive failure, that's one thing. If it's limited, that's easier.
True. I agree.
John Kumbler?
Yeah, I also am concerned about the materials. If it's a repair using the exact kind of material that existed before, that's one thing. If it's a repair that's going to bring in a different kind of material, say from a wooden bulkhead to a stone bulkhead or things, I think that changes it. And I think that requires much more involvement on our part.
John Portnoy?
I think if we could do site visits, that would go a long way toward me feeling confident in reviewing shorefront protection. I need to see it on the ground.
And do you need the experts present for that?
Yes.
Leon? I'm sorry, John, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, Leon?
Yeah, I agree with John.
Michael Fisher?
Yeah, I'd be willing to do a site visit. It really depends, as people have been saying, how extensive. If it's a one-to-one replacement or repair that doesn't effectively change things, that's more limited than a full replacement with different materials.
Hillary, do you have any suggestions?
Well, as for repair, I'm just trying to think of the two that I have in my office, Michelson and Simone. Michelson do we consider that a repair because there's existing remnants of a bulkhead? No.
I don't
No.
think so, because we just
Okay.
did a sand project there and that was
Okay.
basically a change.
Okay, so then I would say let Dawn submit the repairs and we'll schedule them and we'll meet on site. And if it seems like something we can get behind on the site visit, then we'll hear it. And if it seems too complicated, then we can put it out with the rest of them. I guess I just wonder, I wonder at what point, I mean, there's no point in the foreseeable future where we will all be meeting together again in a room. I guess I just wonder what other options we have that can make you all comfortable. Don, can you tell us, are other towns doing something different? Like, I'm just worried that we may have some where properties are in imminent danger and we can't hear them because we can't meet. So I'm just,
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't mean to compare, but other towns are doing the share screen. They're requesting more photographs of the site in case people can't get to the site that are on the commissions, and they're running their meetings similar to what you're running. The only difference is the share screen aspect of it, where the expert or the engineer or any representative that might be in a opposition can actually present materials to the commission through the medium that we're using right now, where we can see each other. And that's the route that a lot of towns have had to take because there isn't any foreseeable way to meet. Even some are, the on-sites are even tough, so.
I just had a thought. What if we consider the option of hearing cases and using an expert hired by the commission? Or hired by the applicant for the commission to review the project. So we always have that option available. We don't use it often, but maybe this is a time where we want to invoke that because we're not comfortable, and getting another set of eyes on the ground reviewing the plans, maybe perhaps that would make you all more comfortable.
I think it would, Hillary. I think that's a good idea. The other thing is, we would always try to hear an emergency, and if the repairs are the ones you would say are the most pressing, I think, we'll do our best to hear those.
Okay. I think there's only one that I referred to that really is classified as an emergency. It's not really a public safety issue though, so we couldn't file for an emergency order. But because it is a repair and it's an existing revetment and it's a small section, you might be able to hear that one, I think, possibly, because you can even go to the site on that one. It's not too inaccessible to see. So maybe that would be one to consider, at least filing, and then see how you folks react.
I think we should go ahead and try it.
Okay.
Unless other people feel very strongly that we should not.
I think we should try it too, and then perhaps we can contemplate the thought of hearing some new ones with having an expert on board that represents the commission.
I think that's a good idea.
I agree.
Okay. All right, that's basically, that's it for me. I mean, thank you very much for at least putting it on the agenda, and we'll file one of them that we have, because I think it may qualify and it may be simple enough to get through without necessarily having another expert, but I'll let you call that when you look at it after we file it.
Great. Thank you, John.
All right, great, thanks.
All right, should we go to the CPC needs list?
Yes.
Michael, do you want to walk us through that?
Yes. Every year, the CPC, in order to allocate Community Preservation Act funds, requires from all of the relevant committees a list of needs. The open space needs that we've had, it's been slightly changed over the last few years, but every year it's commended for being a very appropriate one. The only change from the list that I sent you, and I mentioned in the last email, is on number 5, John Portnoy suggested it should be preserve special and unique native vegetation. But otherwise, the list is as you've seen it a couple of times.
Do you need a motion from us to pass?
Yes,
this?
because we have to report this to the CPC before their next meeting.
Is there any discussion? Could I have a motion then?
I move that we,
Well,
I move that we recommend the needs list, the new needs list produced by the CPC.
Is there a
As
second?
as amended by John Portnoy, right? Because
Right.
that's, a-
Yes, as last distributed to you.
The one we're
Okay.
looking at.
okay, second,
All right.
Barbara.
I need a voice vote. John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brennisell,
yes,
Leon,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Michael Fisher,
Yes,
and Debbie, yes. So you're all set.
thank you.
Hillary, the next item I have on my list is the Hawes Pond report.
So we all received that and have copies of it. And we are having a meeting with some folks from Mass DEP on November 10th at 11 o'clock to talk about Hawes Pond. So I don't know if you had any thoughts or comments on the report that you want to share in advance of that meeting. It's kind of complicated, but if you have some thoughts.
Debbie, I have some thoughts.
Okay, John Portnoy.
The bottom line isn't too complicated. Basically, they did a hydraulic study of the, the physical conditions there, the water and the topography. And they modeled it. They produced a model that seemed to work pretty well, although I'm not a modeler. They proposed putting in a self-regulating tide gate that would go on the upstream end of the culvert. And it would allow the pond to fill with a flood tide up to a specific elevation and then close to prevent flooding of shoreline structures. And their model showed that arrangement would bring salinity up to about half that of seawater, 15 parts per thousand. And it would increase high tide by 2 feet, which is substantial, I think. And also it would bring, that water level would come up to 5 feet, NAVD 88. And just for reference, we have salt marshes and unrestricted Wellfleet Harbor up to 6 feet. So 5 feet's not a whole lot less than 6 feet. So, and that 2-foot increase in high tide would bring the seawater back up onto the marsh surface, which is beneficial to the marsh. So that all looks good if the system works. That's with the self-regulating tide gate. The question I had was, there were really two issues. The objective in this study was to try to come up with a way to restore tides to the existing culvert. They're not talking about changing the culvert, but the other issue is the need to, I think, is the need to conform with the Mass Stream Crossing standards. And that, those standards, I'm not real familiar with them. I think probably Hillary knows them better. It seems to me that would require a much different culvert than just a 3-foot pipe under the road. But maybe Hillary can comment on that.
Yeah, so the stream crossing, I'm trying to think if it's a guideline or a requirement. And I just looked at it the other day for our Herring River project, but it falls under Mass DER and we are required to follow that. So I think that would be a good question for our meeting next week, to ask if they intend to follow those guidelines by DER, because it's important to us that they do, because we know we have fish passage there. So we don't want to lose out on fish passage and only gain tide height.
Hillary and John, correct me if I'm wrong, but they still have to do a field survey of flood-prone structures?
Yeah, I was surprised at that. I thought they had critical elevations and that's what they were shooting for.
Well, that I don't know how they assess how high they can flood that if they don't know the elevation of the structure there. So
That's
that's
what I mean.
why I was confused. That's in the recommendations 5.2 on page 17. It's the first one.
yeah.
So I don't understand. Barbara, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if a berm would have to be created to protect the property, because I don't know how much I don't know what the legal issues there. But whether a berm, I didn't understand the hydraulics, so this is a naive question, but I was wondering if something like that had to be property. What are the legal issues there?
I don't know. I think we have to ask them, and I'm not sure whose property that would be on either.
Hillary, I don't think they were planning on a berm. It's a little confusing because they state that they need to go back and collect elevations for critical elevations. But 5 feet NAVD 88, that's a pretty low, that's low. Well, it's not low relative to marsh vegetation, but it would be strange for a structure was anywhere near 5 feet NAVD 88.
Except we know that the well is low, or whatever that building is quite low.
It's really that grassy area there that floods, is it not?
Yes, but there was flooding in the structure in the past.
Okay.
I guess I have a question for Michael Fisher. The CPC money, can that be used to purchase property?
Yes, that would be through the open space, and a certain share, I think, is a quarter of the funds have to be allocated to open space. It's been devoted over the last few years that I've been on it to a purchase made on the Pilgrim Springs area, so that we've been paying back a purchase. But there is an application would be received, I think, appreciatively.
Do you know when they're due? I wonder, the property is for sale. I have no idea what the cost is, but I wonder if that might be something that we look at.
This year's deadline is passed. We've approved some, and we're hearing the last two applications, but for next year, and I think it would come either through open space or anybody could submit it.
But next year, well, we may be too late.
Yeah, I don't think it could get in this year.
What is the
deadline's passed.
maximum amount? What is the maximum amount that could be obtained through the CPC? Do you know that?
Well, we have made allocations of $500,000 at a time.
And it
So,
gets voted on at town meeting, right?
yes, it's recommended by CPC and then it goes to the town meeting.
I don't know if that would be palatable to the town or not, thinking that it is, well, it's a valuable resource for eel. I wonder if folks, how folks value a functioning restaurant in town versus eel and salt marsh. I don't, and wastewater. I don't know. I just.
And I think, Mary Rogers would be the best person to say, what is appropriate and what's not appropriate according to the rules for CPA funding.
Yeah.
Maybe the two, the restaurant and the little estuary could be physically separated, well, not legally separated with conservation easement on the wetland. Just an idea.
Yeah. I seem to always go back to the fact that I feel like we should just buy it because it's so low and we know we need some salt water up there and we don't want to risk flooding anyone's property. But I feel like a restaurant is equally as palatable to the folks of Wellfleet. So I don't know. It's a difficult situation.
John
I
Cumberland
think-
has his hand up.
John, can you talk a little bit about the self-regulating? I'm a little concerned because we do have a history of these things breaking down and then not ever getting repaired or for a long period of time. Is this something that can be dependable? We don't have to worry about it, or is this something that's just going to cause us problems down the road? I'm asking John Portnoy if he has an opinion about this.
Yeah, well, no, actually, I've heard good and bad about them. They do require some maintenance. There's no power supply. There's no motor involved. It's just two sets of floats. But they don't work all the time. They have to be maintained.
So we have.
And there was some sort of adjustment involved, wasn't there?
The plan in the report was to set it to close at 4 feet, NAVD 88. And then watch it for a while. And if it's behaving as the model predicted and everything's fine upstream, then go to the full 5 feet. But they're adjustable.
So it's not only maintaining the tie gate, it's also doing the initial investigation into determining what the appropriate height is.
Yes.
Okay. All right, are there any other comments that we should think about before the meeting on the 10th?
What time is that again, Debbie?
I believe it is that
11.
11 a.m.?
Yes.
John Cumberland, did you get that 11 a.m.?
Yes, and it's a Zoom meeting.
Yes, they're all Zoom.
We'll get the meeting information.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments then on the Haas Pond report? Why don't we go to the Vessels Subcommittee report?
One question I have down, maybe I'm wrong, at 10 o'clock on the 10th? Is it 11?
I had 11.
I had 11. We'll confirm that with
Okay.
Hillary. Okay, Michael?
Yeah, okay,
Don't-
I probably just wrote it down wrong.
Hillary, is the meeting on Haas Pond on the November 10th at 10 or 11?
It's at 11.
Thank you.
Okay, my mistake.
All right. Yes.
Do we have time for the vessel report, or do we have to go to public hearing?
Oh, thank you. I think we have to go to the public hearings. I'm sorry. And then we'll come back and reopen the business meeting. So I need a motion to temporarily adjourn the business meeting and move to the public hearings. Could I have such a motion?
So
Debbie,
So
can
moved,
I
Michael.
speak?
Is there a second?
Leon second.
All right, voice vote, John
Debbie,
Cumberland.
can I speak real quick? Sorry, I was
Yes,
waiting.
Jeremy.
I'm just letting you guys know to confirm, I did mention it to Hillary, but so the whole commission knows that Ken McVie from Bartlett Tree will be at the meeting at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the 18th, for tree health on infested trees for removal.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay. All right, we need a voice vote on the motion to adjourn temporarily the business meeting. John Portnoy,
Yes.
John Cumberland,
Yes.
Barbara Brennisell,
Yes.
Leon Shreve,
Yes.
Michael Fisher.
Yes.
Okay, has Ben joined us?
No, he has not.
Okay, and Debbie, yes. All right, we'll move to the public hearing portion. The public hearings are being conducted by the Town of Wellfleet Conservation Commission pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw and its regulations. These hearings are being held remotely pursuant to Governor Baker's order of March 12th, 2020, and subsequent orders. We're ready to proceed now with the public hearings. The first hearing is Weissman, 106 Fox Island Road, map 28, parcel 228. It's an RDA, construct new deck, replace sonotubes. It's a continued matter. Is someone here for that?
Yes,
Okay, could you state your name, please?
Terrence Doyle.
Okay,
And the proponents are here as well, Deborah.
okay. I'm sorry, but I don't remember why this matter was continued. If you could give us the information.
The site plan that was submitted was not what you were looking for, so they had a revised site plan done and
Thank you.
submitted, and it clearly depicts everything we had asked them to do. And it looks lovely. I mean, the plan looks great. It's what we had asked for.
Yes, I agree. The other site plan
Barbara, we're losing you.
did not have the 50 and 100, so we weren't sure where this deck was going to be placed. And it looks like deck looks like it's between the 50 and 100. Oh, wait. But it's not within the 50, so that's what we were looking for, where it was in relation to the buffer zone.
Does
Question,
anybody have?
Debbie?
Yes, John.
Do we have a measurement of disturbed area existing and proposed within the 50 and the 100?
So there's no disturbance within the 50.
Right.
All of the disturbances within the 50 to 100. And we do not have that number.
So if I can speak, the new proposed footings are on the location of the existing footings. So there wouldn't be any additional disturbance. It's just the area of the footings, if that's your question.
Okay, but the regulations require that for each property, we have a specification of the amount of disturbed area. We understand that you're not changing it, but we do need that number.
What number is that?
The amount of disturbed area in the property.
And are you requiring an estimate?
So that
I'm sorry, who was
a
speaking?
calculation.
I don't
This is
understand.
Barbara. A calculation of the house, the deck, the driveways.
What?
I'm very confused, and I have to say, I'm being given these requests in series rather than all at once. So we have repeated continuations.
No, we're not saying that this is going to continue it. What we're telling you is that in order to approve your application, you need to submit a number. It can be broken down and it shows the total disturbed area on your property. What Barbara's saying is it would include all of those elements. It would include the area your house sits on. It would include your driveway. It would include your decks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't.
Okay, Hillary, can you give them the regulation so that they understand?
Yeah, they enter in on, you enter in from Fox Island, correct? I guess it, I think it may be just easier for me to do the calculation and put it in the file. It's relatively straightforward.
Well, right, and if you could do that, that would be great.
Well, I generally don't because we prefer it to come in on the stamped plan, but
Yes,
I think had we known that you were looking for it on the plan, we would have placed it there, but in our conversation, we were told that the only additional information you were looking for was to have the stamp plan showing the buffers.
Okay, we have regulations and they tell you exactly what you have to put on your plan. It's not our responsibility to tell you, it's your responsibility and the people who assist you to read the regulations and supply us with the information. Hillary's offering to do you a good deed.
And I'm very appreciative.
Okay. Do you have
And-
any idea, Hillary, what we're talking about?
yeah, the house, the decks come to 132 plus 176. Existing, I haven't gotten the driveway, is 1,183 square feet. The new deck is 44 square feet. So we're well under the threshold.
Okay.
all right. As long as those numbers appear on the what we're issuing and the plan, I approve this project. This is Barbara.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments about the project?
I can move it.
All right, so John is moving that we approve the project. Is there a second?
Second, John Kumbler.
All right, we need a voice vote. John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brennisell,
Yes.
Leon Shreves,
Yes.
Michael Fisher.
I'll abstain because the trustees are a butter.
Okay, and Debbie Freeman, yes. You're all set. We do need that information and Hillary is calculating it for you because it's your lucky day.
Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you.
Complicated.
So is there any additional submission that we need to make, or is it on the plans, thanks to Hillary?
It's on the plan, thanks to me.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Portnoy,
much.
is that a 2 or 3?
3,
3?
-3.
Thank you.
Okay,
So we may proceed?
yes,
Thank you so much.
okay.
Great. Thank you.
The next item is
Good
Snape.
night.
Good night.
Okay.
Snape, 95 Newcomb Hill Road, map 12, parcel 81, a certificate of compliance. Hillary, have you or Doug been out to see that?
To Snape, yes. On Newcomb Hill?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Did you guys go today? No?
No.
No.
I went.
No.
Oh, because it's the certificate of compliance. Yes, we have been out there. Michael, you've been out there. And that is okay to issue.
Yes, there have been in fact plantings.
And who was the supervisor on that project?
I'm looking right now.
It's not in the minutes.
And It does not say, so I'm assuming the agents, because we've been out there, so that one is
Okay.
good.
All right, do we need a motion to approve the certificate of compliance?
Yes, please.
So moved, Michael.
Is there a second?
Second, John Kumbler.
John Kumpler, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
Barbara Brenessel? I don't see her. Michael Fisher
Yes.
and Debbie, yes.
You didn't ask me.
I'm so sorry, Leanne Shreves. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. I have trouble with the screen. I apologize.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Barbara, yes,
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
On the Weissman,
Yes.
You muted, Leon.
should we sign a determination of applicability for the Weissman?
It's a deck,
Project.
so it's a deck, so the building inspector will go out there and he'll let us know if it's in the right place, and I think we don't need a supervisor for that.
Okay.
No, he was asking.
So what
about-
he's asking, Hillary, is what forms do we need to sign? So-
Oh, the determination of applicability.
Okay, so
RDA.
one RDA, one certificate of compliance.
Correct.
COC,
Thank-
Yes.
right, so far.
Okay, so those so far, all right. The next one is Mary Ring Trust, 265 King Philip Road, map 34, parcel 3, an RGA prune and remove trees to develop view corridor, plant shrubs as mitigation. Is there someone here for this?
Charles Wentz, can you hear me?
Yes.
With Ponderosa Landscaping. So I'll describe the project and the site. It's a property well vegetated near the marsh. It abuts the marsh. It's proposed to do work roughly between 25 and 100 feet of the buffer zone. We plan to take down some pitch pine, 14 pitch pines, 2 black locusts, and reduce the height of 7 pitch pines to open the view and mitigate with 48 shrubs as understory plants. So we'll plant those, pocket plant them, and have an irrigation system for survival, and do as little damage to the area as possible. Some of the trees proposed for removal are on the neighbor's property. And Hillary and Doug mentioned that with a letter of approval, which has been submitted, that it's okay to take those trees out as long as the neighbor agrees. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with the letter. The letter doesn't indicate anything that we could rely on if there's a problem. The letter doesn't indicate that the neighbor is aware of the plan or the location of the trees. The letter is really very, very terse and summary. And I really think the neighbor should come in and participate as part of the application. I don't feel comfortable taking down 9 trees that close to the marsh on the strength of that letter on someone else's property. That's just my personal opinion.
Just to mention, I think they wrote a first draft of the letter, and Hillary thought that in case there's changes to the plan, that
yourself so you can be seen.
said that they would agree to the plan as it developed.
I don't know if, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Suggestions?
Are you able to hear me? This is Bill
Yes.
Yes,
Meister.
would
I
you
am the
please
neighbor.
state your name? I'm sorry, we don't know who you are.
Okay, my name is William Meister. I am the neighbor. I wrote the terse letter.
It is short.
Well, I've seen the plan and I do approve. My wife is here. She's the co-owner. too, and if you'd like to also hear from her, I have seen the plan. We've both seen the plan, and we both do approve it.
Thank you.
Is there another part of the letter you'd like me to say more about?
No, my discomfort is that if something goes wrong, we have a plan that has work to be done on your property. We have no way to enforce anything on your property.
I'm not sure what you mean by enforce anything on my property.
Let me explain. If the trees come down and there is damage at your property, all we have is a plan for your neighbor's property. We don't have anything guaranteeing a fix on your property.
The plan includes the location of the trees on my property. The plan
Right, I
itself.
understand that. No, but you're the property owner. Legally speaking, we have no rights other than the application that was before us by the property owner. That's my concern.
So what would you like?
I would like a joint application.
A joint application.
So they could file a request for determination for the trees on your parcel so that
Right.
your map and parcel is also identified as a location where work is going to be done.
Fine.
Debbie,
Yes, John.
I want to follow up on your point. I don't know, don't we want the owner of the property that's having the trees removed submit their own rather than tag along with the neighbors? I mean, they can do the work together, but I want to see the owner of the property submit the request. Just not comfortable us okaying something on someone else's property.
Can I just weigh in for a minute here? I don't think Bill Meister would have made an application on his own behalf. It's not for his view. He's helping out his neighbor by allowing them to take the trees down on his property to enhance his neighbor's view. I don't think it helps Bill at all with his view or anything. You know, he's doing it for his neighbor. So I think that we can get a request for determination on Bill's property, and perhaps that's the easiest way to proceed. That way we have a legal application for the work on his property, but Bill is not the one who wanted the trees taken down on his property.
No, I
Oh, I
understand.
get that, Hillary.
Yeah, okay.
That's correct. I was just asked if it was okay, and I said, I looked at the plan. I went down and saw the trees that were going to be removed should the plan be approved. And it was fine with me. And I've had a lot of work done and filed plans in the past with you, and it went fine.
Right, but you were working on your property, not having someone work on your neighbor's property on your behalf.
Well, I'm pretty comfortable with Ponderosa, and I'd say I'm very comfortable with Ponderosa, and
Bartlett Tree will be doing the work on the
And
tree
Bart-
removal.
Bartlett's a good company, and
What do they need? Just ask.
it was so, again, if you could, maybe help me or provide me with what you would like.
Yeah, we were told that a letter would be enough, but apparently there's just discussion on this.
Yeah. Do any of the other commissioners have comments?
In general, you mean? On the
Yes.
project? Yeah, I think it seems like a lot of trees, and I wonder, having been out there, I wonder whether you really need to cut so many trees, and does the vista have to be as wide as it is in order to appreciate the marsh there? If you wanted to include this many trees, I'd be inclined to think that this should be you've submitted a request for determination. I think our determination should be positive in the sense that the Wetlands Protection Act does apply, and you should submit a full notice of intent. If you were to cut it down significantly, I think an RDA would be appropriate. But there's really not much vegetation between the house and the marsh except for this forest of pine trees, and you're removing a significant
Do you
number
think,
of them.
do you think an increase in shrubs would, it doesn't have too many understory shrubs. You think
No,
that would,
it has
like
some
if we
small
increase that
locust.
by another 20% or something, we could.
May
that would-
I respond to that, Debbie?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
When I was out there, I had the same thought that there's practically no understory
Yeah,
in that forest, and it would be a great benefit, I think, for wildlife habitat to have to redevelop a shrub border on that marsh within the pine forest.
so maybe
I still think that the pine removal is a little bit excessive just to accomplish a view.
maybe we could reduce it by 3 trees and increase the mitigation by 5 to 1 rather than 3 to 1.
Barbara?
Yes, before I recharge my computer, I just want to say that our regulations encourage filtered vistas rather than topping. And some of this involves topping of, my reading of it, topping of those pine trees. So if there was a way,
Actually.
yeah, if there was a way to just selective prune so that you could see through them instead of topping them, that would be a preferred alternative. And I also had in my notes that this looks like an NOI rather than an RDA because of the number of trees.
Yeah, Hillary, we're talking a minimum removal of 16 trees, I believe here,
Yes, correct.
which is a large number.
Well, so if you move to file the notice of intent, they could file a notice of intent for both properties, and both Bill and the property owner in question here, the Rings, could sign one notice of intent. So you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that approach.
John Kumbler?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with the idea that just totally removing trees and then replacing it with undergrowth is exactly equivalent, commensurate with what you're removing. Like Barbara's idea of more selective removal, significant trees removed, as well as increasing the understory.
I think on
Form a
the
slightly
pruning,
different function in the ecosystem than understory.
Go ahead, Charles.
on the pruning portion of the crown height, it would be more of some lateral pruning would work there pretty well.
Okay, I think what we're talking about is an NOI then, rather than an RDA. So we need to take a vote and find a positive determination.
Hang on.
Could I have a motion? Do I take it no one wants that? You don't
No.
want a motion?
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to word it.
Oh. I think we would say that it's a positive determination that the Wetlands Protection Act applies and that this matter should continue, if at all, as an NOI.
Requires the filing of a notice of intent.
Okay.
And make that motion.
For the one property,
No, it would be.
It would
if-
include both.
so one notice of intent for 2 properties?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, I need a voice vote. John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brenessel,
Yes.
Leon Shreves, I remembered this time.
Thank you. Yes.
Michael Fisher
Yes.
and Debbie Freeman, yes. Okay. So you'll need to come back to us with a joint notice of intent.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Do we
you.
need to sign anything for that, Debbie?
You'll get a positive determination. The determination of applicability should still be signed because they'll get a positive determination in the mail.
Okay,
No, they would sign, you would sign the determination of applicability.
right, that's what,
On the blank.
so we
Yeah.
have 2 determinations of applicability and 1 certificate of compliance so far.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next matter is Osterson, Eldridge, 47 Sea Oaks Way, map 36, parcel 18, and RDA, prune 2 trees close to home, prune dead branches, vista pruning, trim underbrush continued. Miss Osterson, do you want to go ahead? I think you're muted. You need to unmute. There we go.
Okay, and I believe Dennis Townsend is here as well. He's going to do the work.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here as well, Ruth.
We were out there today and it appears that everything is marked and the Vista corridor is marked.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this project?
Well, this is Michael. You submitted the covenant for the properties, and it says that trees have to be kept below 4 feet. And I think I was seeing it, there's something about 4 inches around. Could you just explain exactly what it is that you have to do?
I think that requirement was put in place when people were developing properties. And so there were requirements about what trees could be removed. Why I gave you the covenants is in section 18, it says that bushes and brush may be trimmed to a height of no less than 4 feet. So we leave in our association here, we leave everything 4 feet high for the wildlife habitat. So nothing's cut to the ground.
Okay, so that seems to contradict the number 7, right? No live trees more than 4 inches in diameter at the 4-foot height shall be removed without approval.
Well, I think the difference is removal versus cutting, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I read that, I got the impression, or maybe it was explicit, that tree removal, as Ms. Austinson said, it was to allow for the construction of the structure.
Yes, I believe that was my understanding.
Hillary,
Okay, thank you.
would this be a continuing order of conditions or whatever it is?
Well, they filed an RDA, so we don't have that ability to continue it in perpetuity.
Do you understand what that means? Normally, if you had filed it as a notice of intent, we could continue it so you didn't have to come back every time you wanted to do more pruning and more trimming. The way it's filed now, we can give you approval, but it's a limited approval.
Uh-huh. Okay, I didn't understand that. I just filed this request for determination at the advice of Douglas.
Okay.
Doug helped me, kind of figure out how to do this. So in the future, if I wanted to, I should do the other form. So it would, that goes on forever? Is there a
Well,
time limit?
we would put in a condition that we would still want to review it each time, but you could just notify the office of the plan to go forward. I think that's what your neighbor may have ended up doing. I can't quite recall that.
Mm-hmm.
So Hillary, how long will she have pursuant to this application?
3 years.
Okay. So if you want to do work after 3 years, you will have to come back.
Okay. All right. So, but I could do work in the next 3 years then under this agreement.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve this project?
So moved by Michael.
Is there a second? Oh, I'm sorry, John Kumbler. go
I
ahead.
have a question, which is, how bound is this, and this has nothing to do with this project, but I want to clarify, how bound is this committee to a neighborhood covenant? I mean, if the neighborhood covenant violates our basic principles, we're not bound to allow the neighborhood covenant to go through, right?
You're right.
So in a certain
We-
sense,
we
the
don't-
covenant is irrelevant to our decision.
You're absolutely right.
Clarify.
The covenant has nothing to do with our jurisdiction or what we decide.
Okay, just wanted to make that clear. Yes, and I'll vote yes now.
I think we're providing a vista corridor here. Although I don't like the topping of trees to 4 feet, because that involves a lot of topping to get that 4-foot height. But as long as the vegetation is there, and it's pretty heavily vegetated, I would agree for this for the next 3 years and then reevaluate when they come back to have another plan.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, we need to vote. John Kumbler, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brenessel,
Yes.
Leon Shreves,
Yes.
Michael Fisher,
Yes.
and Debbie Freeman, yes, you're all set.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Fortnight,
Thank you.
2 or 3?
It's 3.
Thank you, dear.
Okay,
Sign the form, RDA.
so we have 3 determinations of applicability and 1 certificate of compliance now.
So
Okay, the next one is Silvetti, 35 Main Street, map 15, parcel 125, and an RDA to install a shed. This was continued because the shed markers had been removed. Is there anyone here for Silvetti?
again,
I don't know that Jorge is here, but he did mark the location of his shed. I don't know if all of you were able to see it, but we did get out to see it. So the location was clearly marked. And it is a prefab cedar shed. It's 9 foot by 6 foot, and it's going in the parking area at the entrance to his property.
Which is already disturbed.
Correct.
Does anybody have any comments about this?
Yes, the only, so Michael,
I
the
move,
only,
Michael, go ahead and then we'll hear
go
from
ahead,
Bob.
Michael.
yes, the only question I had was the side of the shed toward the water is going to be elevated, and they're just talking about a timber frame. So I guess they're talking about, I mean, it says timber frame on grade, but it's going to have to be up in the back.
Hillary, are you able to shed any light on that?
I'm just looking at the picture here. No, I am not able to shed any light on that, but we're sure Jorge's not here, right? I can see if I can get him on the phone and inquire.
What is the issue that we're pausing on?
The only
Yes,
issue-
I raised the issue. It's the back of the shed it says it's 81 feet from, I guess it's the edge of the wetland. And it has to be raised up at least a foot or two. And I was just concerned that if they're just going to be putting timber there as a block, it's not going to be very secure. Whereas we normally want something like a diamond pier or sonotubes or something to anchor it down.
So I couldn't get him on the phone, but we can certainly you got him on the phone? No, okay. We can certainly require he use some type of diamond pier construction on that back end.
I would feel much more comfortable with that because it's only 81 feet from the water. So
Okay, with that condition, could I have a motion to approve Silvetti?
so moved, Michael.
Is there a second?
Barbara,
Okay, Barbara, how do you vote?
yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Leon Shreves,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. It looks like John Kumbler has stepped out for a minute. Okay, the final hearing we have is Sheets 125 Marvin Way, map 21, parcel 26. A notice of intent, tree removal, repair walkways, expand deck, construct small platform, removal of trees, and pruning for view corridor. Is someone here for that?
Sheets requested a continuance to our next meeting because they could not get their paperwork in on time. So we will hear from them on 11/18.
All right, did they indicate, Hillary, that they were doing the actual area of disturbance with the tennis court?
They're working on it, and I think removing the tennis court might be the best option. So,
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I would adjourn I would seek a motion to adjourn the business meeting portion of the hearings tonight. I'm sorry.
Debbie, pardon me, we need to adjourn, we need to continue Sheets.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
I move to continue Sheets.
Second, Michael.
All right, we
Yeah.
need a voice vote. John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brennisell,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Debbie, yes. Now, I need a motion to adjourn the public hearings portion of tonight and to reopen the business meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we
Michael,
need
second.
another, and we need another voice vote. John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Michael Fisher,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. All right, so we're back in the business meeting and we're going to hear from the Vessels Subcommittee.
Okay, this is Barbara. I guess I'll start unless Michael wants to jump in. But
No, go ahead.
we met a couple of times in October and we came up with this report, which is something we can work from. And I hope everyone got a copy. Did you all get a copy of the report?
yes.
Okay, so the first part is just a preamble, and we thought it was important to just outline why we're so concerned about storage of vessels. And in any kind of outreach we do, it'll be important also to provide some kind of background about this and not just be punitive and tell people, well, you can't put your kayaks anywhere. We have to explain why. So it's partly an educational issue as well. So you can read that as your leisure. I just want to bring your attention, thank you, Michael, look at that, to the action items that we thought we should be working on or we're already working on. So the first is to identify areas which are appropriate or not appropriate for vessel storage and find out if the beach department can expand existing storage. And that could be done by, for example, adding an additional level. For example, at Gull Pond, they have 4 levels of kayak storage, but most of the town landings have just a single layer. And then the harbor master also suggested other areas which may or may not be feasible, but he was thinking of areas that currently do not have storage and are potential areas where storage could be contemplated, such as the parking lot at the Indian Neck Breakwater, the beach in front of Max, floating racks inside the docks already in the marina, Lieutenant Island Bridge, and top of the proposed ramp at Herring River. So he was thinking that they could possibly be expanded storage to help with the overflow. And then action item 2 is communication with the harbor master about issuing stickers. And Michael Fisher has talked extensively with Will, who's the assistant but soon to be harbor master, about this. And he said, well, they didn't have some place to get stickers. So that was sort of, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, that was sort of an excuse for not issuing stickers. And he just wanted people to write on their boats with Sharpies. But we thought that that was not appropriate and that they should be stickered, because those vessels especially are allowed to stay on the beaches year round, as opposed to the ones on the racks. So Michael, I think, will continue conversations with the harbor master about this. We did a little research to find out how other towns were managing their vessel storage, and to make a long story short, everybody's having issues with this. There in Chatham, there was someone assigned just to get vessels off the beaches and off the grass and off the marshes. And Eastham has their own little policy. They don't have racks, but they have designated areas. But it's not unique to Wellfleet. Everyone's having issues, especially this year when there were so many people out here and everyone seemed to have kayaks with them. So we'll continue that research, I think. We decided it was a good idea to communicate with Jack's Boat Rental, and Conservation Commission can do that with a formal letter, or one of us can go there and talk to them. Number 6 here is communicate with Audubon and Lieutenant Island homeowners about vessel storage on Lieutenant Island by the boathouse. And Melissa Lowe is really inundated now with issues about Lieutenant Island, because this newly formed right to access committee, I forget what the exact name is, but the Lieutenant Island homeowners own the roads on Lieutenant Island, and they closed all the parking there. And they even limited the parking, they closed the parking that accesses Audubon properties. So right now, Melissa is dealing with the southwest side of Lieutenant Island, but she said over the winter, we'll talk about the boat storage issue, because the Homeowners Association is also concerned about that. A lot of the people who store their boats there don't even live on Lieutenant Island. And there are no racks and there are no fees, and no one really monitors it. Anyone can just leave their vessels there. And this summer, there at any one time, there were over 70 kayaks, a lot of them on the vegetation. So that's something that I will follow up with this winter with Melissa. Another issue was Field Point, which actually belongs to the state. It's part of Fox Island Wildlife Management Area. And I've been in communication with someone at the state who referred me to yet someone else at the state. And I will continue to follow that sort of trail, but they're not really managing it, even though it's a management area. No one goes there. No one knows what's happening. They have no idea about the kayaks. So I'm going to work with them about that particular area, and maybe just some signage. We know that kayak racks don't last there, so that's not going to work. So what's going to be the solution? Just to prohibit kayaks? I'm not sure. I don't know if the town can do that if it's state property. So we'll follow through with that. And then enforcement. We thought our regulations were really pretty good. We read them again, and they're really very explicit and they're very good. But we thought that one of the big issues this past season, especially, was enforcement. No one's really enforcing the regulations. So I think that has to be another conversation that we have with the harbor master and the beach department about enforcement. And then we need to develop outreach to vessel owners and shoreline property owners about vessel storage. And in a minute, I'll talk about the table that was also part of the what we sent you. And we thought that the weakest part of our regulations was section 2.05, which doesn't include anything about storage of vessels on private property. It was all about town landings. But the town has other properties that are not town landings, and there are lots of private properties where vessels are being stored all over the place. So we're proposing to rewrite those regulations. And then we identified a number of areas for education and communication, and you can look at those and maybe suggest other ways that we can get the word out to people about proper storage of vessels. So I'll stop there and just mention that the next handout, or maybe I'll just see if there are any questions about this report, and then have Michael put the table up.
Hi, I'd like to commend you on your project response. It's great. When I was reading through it, and maybe I missed it, I didn't see a bullet point 3. It looks like some misnumbering happened. You might just want to fix that at some point. It looks like it jumps from 2 to 4.
Yeah, thank you. I probably deleted something or
Okay,
renumbered.
whatever.
Thank you.
I think it's really thorough and really good, and I really appreciate the work. I think it's great.
I should add, I spoke to Denny, who knows a lot about this and has a lot of experience, and he made some smallest suggestions that I think would enhance it. So before we go from the draft to the final, we might want to incorporate. He gave me a copy of the various comments.
Great.
Barbara, what is the spreadsheet that you're looking for?
No, it's just a table that Ben Fairbanks put together, and then we edited, and Michael has, Michael sent that. I sent it as another attachment with my email.
Okay, let me see.
It's a PDF.
All right, I'm
It's
looking.
PDF vessels regulations.
This one. There we go.
Yes, that's it. So right now we have locations where you can put vessels, but we don't have locations where you can't put vessels. So that's the second part of the table where it says town and state landings closed to vessel storage. And someone mentioned today that the rack at Omaha is almost gone, and we have to think about whether we should just not allow storage of vessels on Omaha. I mean, that's a discussion that we have to have, because I don't know how you can store them there without them being on the vegetation, because if they're on the beach, they're going to get washed away. Field Point, I'm talking to the state about that. Old Pier Road, I don't know what's happening there, but we should list where you can't put things.
Yep.
As well as where you can. And we have to have appropriate signage and refer people to our regulations. And then the gray part on the bottom is something that's not in our regulations at all, that we need to incorporate into that section 2 point, whatever it is, about private property, residential and conservation areas such as the Audubon property. And they're trying to deal with this, and we'll have to continue those conversations. But Ben drafted some of this, and he suggested that we have something about if it's on private property, store it outside of the 100-foot buffer, unless they're on a permitted kayak rack or floating, even at low tide and tied to a permitted dock or mooring, or resting on an open beach. So we can think about what we want to do here on private property. This will be particularly difficult to enforce. I don't think we're after enforcement here, but we're after education and tell people about this, especially if they rent their houses and people come and put their kayaks on the vegetation in front of the houses. So this is a working document. It's a draft. We don't have to, have a long discussion tonight, but I invite people to send comments and we'll continue. I think Michael's and Ben are probably willing to keep working on this, and then seeing where we can fine tune our regulations to reflect our thoughts and what we can legally enforce and permit, and then talk to Suzanne, the beach department, and the harbor master, and get them on board with all this. I identified 2 kayaks this week that I think were on town property that are just sitting there on the grass or on the beach, and no one does anything about them. So there has to be some kind of a system where these things can be addressed. We're not sure what it is right now, but talking to the beach department and the harbor master, I think, will help.
I think I'm just looking to say, I think I sent that to them.
Good.
Morning to the harbor master or to Will. I know
I'm sure he
I
was.
sent it to him as well.
I'm sure he's thrilled to see that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I sent it to him.
Thank you.
I think the only other thing we need to talk about is timing, because if we want this to be in effect by next year, there's a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done. So in terms of timing, we need stickers, we need educational materials, we need kayak racks, we need determinations on locations, we need regulations. We need a determination of who's going to enforce what. It's a lot of moving parts. So what's your thinking on timing?
Before next season, before next spring.
Right, but in order to have it in place, how soon do all the parts need to come together?
Right. If we have to have a regulation that reflects like private and Audubon property, I know that has to be a public meeting, but that doesn't have to go to the town for approval because they already approved our bylaws, right? So if we have a regulation about private property, we can vote and put that in place. If we revise, which we are willing to do, if Ben does and I will, that one section to reflect private properties, I think we can do that. The rest is communication. Sending this to Suzanne and the harbor master and making sure that they are on board.
Well, aren't we working with Horace Witten about doing the regulations anyway?
We are.
I know, but let me just say this, Michael, about that. They are trying to make our bylaws comply with our regulations. And this is just a little part of our regulations, and we're paying them a lot of money. So I think that we can write the regulation ourselves. Change that section 2 point whatever it is, and then we can ask for their knowledge about this in other towns, but they have a lot more important things to do about revetments and buffer zones and things like that, that I think that the kayaks, we can probably handle. Our vessel regulations are really good. I mean, they're pretty long. They're 3 or 4 pages of vessel regulations.
What I would suggest is, Barbara, I think that's a great idea, and I think you should take the first stab at it and see where you get. And we can send it over to Horsley Witten for review along with all our other questions. which we've already submitted. Hillary, do you think that's a problem?
No, I think we can do that, but I agree with Barbara. I think we could probably get the boat section firmed up and changed pretty easily. Without their expertise, because the timeframes probably don't overlap.
Okay. So would it be awful if we asked you guys to report back to us where you are in a month?
No, that's fine. That's fine. And we'll take on the revision of that regulation, I think. And then a lot of the rest is communicating with people and writing little blurbs that we can send to homeowners associations and seasonal residents and things like that, more educational kind of things, which I'm also willing to write and send out to these groups. And I'm sure Michael and Ben would be willing to do that too.
And
Absolutely.
the Non-Resident Taxpayers Association.
Yeah, everyone, even the Chamber of Commerce, anybody that for the real estate agents that rent houses, they have to let people know that what the regulations are, or at least refer them to the regulations, which I think are available online.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then I'll just keep sending you any violations because I'm walking the beaches all the time and I'm seeing these things everywhere.
Perfect.
But is there sort of a general agreement that there's not going to be anything at the end of Omaha? Because we'd want to have a list of places where you can't store. And I don't know how that homeowners association feels about that.
Well, I don't think we have room or space to store vessels there anymore. It's eroded away and there's no logical place to put them anymore. I mean, and that's,
That's town property.
Yes.
So we can say no.
Yes.
And okay. And if you think of other town properties, I don't know anything about Pleasant Point there. But any other, yeah.
Pleasant Point way at the end is the one that we manage, and it is on town property. And it needs some help too.
All right, well, we can take that on. No point in keeping this meeting going with those questions. We'll just do that offline, take care of those things. But any suggestions or help or?
Barbara, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, John.
Most of our discussion has been on marine beach areas.
Yeah.
Not talking about the ponds.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, ponds are included, although you have to sort of read into these because it's like private property.
Yeah.
We should make sure it's private property on bayside pond, any waterfront. So we need to clarify that also in the regulations. We had an issue just today on a site visit with that. So I think that's important that we clarify that as well. So send us those suggestions, please, and we'll report back in a month or so.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
I think the only thing left, is mail discussion and meeting minutes. Is there any mail, Hillary?
No, I think I email you most of it at this point, or just sort it.
And then meeting minutes. Chris, where are we with those?
Chris is muted.
John sent us some edited minutes, didn't he?
Yes, from 2 weeks ago. You should have them.
October.
Whenever that was. The 20 from October 21.
Yes, thank you.
Does anybody have any further discussion on those minutes? Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
So, all right. Second, Barbara.
Okay, I need a voice vote. John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. And I've received a notice from Courtney Butler. You might all have received it, saying that she needs to have copies of all our minutes from now on sent to the Board of Select, to the Select Board, not just posted. So
Yeah, I got that message.
thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else that we need to address tonight?
Have we firmed up the date we're meeting for the special business or
The
special?
executive session? Yes.
Friday.
Friday at 11.
Okay, this Friday at 11 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's with council.
okay. And we'll get that ID number and
It
password.
already went out, so you should have it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it was in my
Yeah.
email.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Chris
Yeah.
sent it out today.
Okay, maybe I must have missed it. I apologize.
And then we have another meeting at Hawes Pond on next Tuesday, the 10th at 11 o'clock.
Correct.
Okay. Trying to keep it straight.
Do we have a quorum for Hawes Pond? Because if we do, we may need to record it and post it, and
Uh-oh.
I think we better. We better.
is it possible to not have a quorum? I mean, who's planning on attending?
I was, but I can unattend if you want to. I want it to happen, so I'll,
Well, no, I mean, we have time to post it. I just don't know the intention of the state. I don't know that we want to have a big public meeting on Hawes Pond if the state isn't expecting a big public meeting. That was my only thought.
Well, I would be satisfied if you and John Portnoy attended.
Well, I think we could have 3 of you. I mean, we could have 3 of you plus me. We just can't have 4 of you.
Well, I'll be happy to attend. I'll do whatever you want.
Okay. So
I'll be
John,
happy to not attend.
happy to not attend. Barbara, do you want to attend? Because you have some good experience talking about the Terrapins and probably Fish Passage too.
Why don't I take Deb's place then?
Well, no, all 3 of you
Oh,
can
that's,
come.
we can all go, all 3 of us.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
Okay.
I'll go.
Okay,
That's
great.
good. Great.
And I know Michael was busy anyway, so.
So 11:10 at
Yeah.
11 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Anything else that we need to discuss?
That's all I have for today.
All right, then we are done.
I move we adjourn.
I move we adjourn. Second.
John Kumbler,
yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Braniso,
Yes.
Leanne Shreves.
I want to stay here. Yes.
No. Michael Fisher,
Yes.
Debbie Freeman, yes. All right. See you
Thanks,
at
guys.
noon
All right.
Bye.
soon.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.